Good evening and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen Workshop. It is March 27th, 2025, and it is 5:30 p.m. On Tuesday night, the prayer will be with Alderwoman Hobbs, and I will have the prayer, or I have the pledge. We should have in our packet the minutes from the February 27th, 2025 workshop and the March 4th, 2025 regular meeting. And then we're moving on to presentations. We will have some certificate appreciations on Tuesday night, and then we've got one for tonight. Coach, can I ask you to join me, please? Come on here. Coach, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
So you've got some players here tonight?
Yeah, I got a couple of players here. I got Evan.
Let's get your whole team up here.
And my managers, of course.
Absolutely.
We have Dr. Hatchett here as well.
Oh, well, Dr. Hatchett. Come on up, Dr. Hatchett. We always love having you here with us. So, I don't know if the rest of the board has come to these games. I know a large part of our community does. But these young men, they play with ferocity. We were talking earlier, but you've got one of your guys, he can jump about 5 feet in the air.
Yeah, he can. And he's only like maybe 6 foot tall.
Yeah. Well, they're all compared to me tall, so. Understatement of the year, right, Steve? Well, we wanted to present some certificates of recognition to the entire team because what y'all have done this year, step above last year. And we're amazed and we're so proud of your leadership with the team and what these young men are doing, and the young women with managing them, shaping them to the right areas, and it's a good sign for our community. And so we've got for you, for your leadership, your dedication, and your guidance for coaching the Laverne High School boys basketball team to compete at the state 4A sectional game. Your dedication has not only made history for Laverne, but has also guided your players to become responsible and successful individuals.
Thank you.
So I wanted to give you this.
Thank you.
And then each member of the team, including the managers and the coaches, all have their own certificate, but we have one for the team as well as a whole. And it's in recognition for the 4A sectional game and continuing to strive not only to be the best team, but the best students and role models for our community and for your peers at Laverne High School. So we want to thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Come on.
Board, if you want to stand up behind them. There we go. All right. One more. Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Coach and players, I just want you all to know that last game you stressed me to the max.
Congratulations.
And realistically, if you have not been to one of their basketball games, you are missing it. Very competitive. Their Siegel game, they dominated. In their last game, it was down to the wire. So very, very talented young men. Okay. Moving on to number 3, we've got the public comment period. No one had signed up for that. We'll have departmental reports, and then we will move on to old business. Second reading, Ordinance 2025-07, an ordinance to amend Title 14, Chapter 6 of Laverne Municipal Code by adding sinkhole protections to the Stormwater Management Ordinance. This received a favorable recommendation from the Stormwater Appeals and Advisory Board on February 3rd, 2025. It's the second reading. Does anyone have any questions? Number 6, second reading, Ordinance 2025-08, 2025-08, an ordinance to amend Title 14, Chapter 1, Section 14-105 and Title 14, Chapter 8, Section 14-809 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding public comment period. Again, this is second reading. Does anyone have any questions? Number 7, second reading, ordinance 2025-09, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2024-2025 general fund budget. Again, this is second reading, and anyone have any questions on this? Moving on over to the consent agenda, we've got approve or reject city bids and purchases. First is to approve purchase landscaping at New Public Works CDS facility. And this purchase of landscaping maintenance for the Public Works facility. And you can see all of the quotes from the group. The recommendation is to award that to Russell Landscaping. Does anyone have any questions?
Have we done business with them before? Mike, is that who I'm asking, or
Yes,
Kyle?
it would be, Michael's been working on this.
No, sir. Vice Mayor, to answer your question, we have not done business with them in the past. This is something we typically would do in-house. However, y'all seen the facility. There's quite a bit of greenery over there as well as trees to maintain. So we felt like it would be in the city's best interest to sub this type of work out versus hiring additional personnel.
And that's what I spoke with David McGowan earlier today about, was whether this was something that his crew could do, or we'd sub it out. And he said he would need another person, which would be more than what we would be paying annually.
Yeah, I went through all the bids and read everything, and it seems like they were $10,000 cheaper than Peachtree,
Correct.
but was going to do more.
Yes, sir, correct. And they was just a hair higher than the lowest quote received. However, the additional services outweighed that tremendously.
It's just such a pretty building. I want to make sure that whoever we get, that they stay with it, that they don't get halfway through and walk out on us and all of that. So, but we'll be paying them monthly.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
And, yes, sir. And it's only a 1-year agreement. So
Okay.
if we're not happy with their services, we can certainly revisit it next year.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Moving on to number 2, emergency purchase, fire system replacement at the library. This is just what it sounds like. We had some electrical problems that took out the fire system, so there was an emergency purchase to replace that. The cost of the system was $21,936. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to number 3, approve estimated lease rate quotes with Enterprise to lease 5 vehicles for the police department. And this is an enterprise lease agreement. It'll be $46,212.60 per year. Does anyone have any questions? And this is for non-pursuit vehicles for the police department. Moving on to B, approve street paving and striping for fiscal year 2024-2025. And as we discussed last month, this is Old Nashville Highway and Sand Hill Road. Does anyone have any questions? C, approve annual renewal of the SMARSH service agreement. This is just our regular SMARSH archiving system, and it's for city text messages, city emails. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to D, approve renewal of a 3-year agreement with Motorola Solutions for GIS managed services. And this is, again, just like it sounds. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to new business. First reading ordinance 2025-10, an ordinance to amend Article 4, Section 4.010 of the Laverne zoning ordinance regarding off-street parking requirements. This received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on February 25th, 2025. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday evening, April 1st, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. Is that supposed to be 6:45 or 5:45? Bruce?
Yeah, 5:40.
5:45. Just want to make sure to get that time out to the public correctly.
Old habits are hard to break.
Not a problem, sir. Not a problem.
0 for 2.
Not that anyone's counting.
But not 0 for 3 tomorrow night.
Does anyone have any questions on this?
Mr. Mayor, just like to say that the Planning Commission did talk about this for several months to get it where it needs to be, and I think this is the best positioning that we can be at.
Yeah, I watched that meeting, man. Y'all gave me a headache with that.
Sometimes it's good to have disagreements, so
Yes, it is.
try to work through it.
Absolutely.
Moving on to number 10, first reading ordinance 2025-11, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2024-2025 State Street Aid Fund budget. And let me hop over to this in my packet. This is an additional cost, and it's tied to the paving that's being proposed. So it's approximately $50,000. Does anyone have any questions?
So if we pass this on Tuesday night, will they start paving immediately? Or
Michael, if you could come up and speak to that.
is that a tough question?
I would think it would.
Vice Mayor, they will not be able to start immediately. However, we have been in contact with them and asked them to get us on their schedule for next month. So that is the plan here. It's kind of hard to schedule those things in advance without having approval first to give them the green light. But Hawkins and Price has been a great contractor, so I think they will jump on it relatively quickly.
Are they gonna do Old Nashville from the low underpass to the,
From Murfreesboro Road?
Smyrna?
Yes, sir, from Murfreesboro Road to the city limits.
that'll be good for traffic?
It's never a good time to pave, but everything always needs to be paved, right?
Absolutely.
Yes,
And they're gonna do all of Sand Hill from Dollar General over to,
yes, from Stones River Road all the way to Fergus Road. That's correct.
And any complaint calls Doug is fielding?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Doug, are you also covering convenience center complaint calls also?
That's the county.
Are you going to defer them to the county? Okay. Okay.
Moving on to number 11, first reading ordinance 2025-12. An ordinance to amend Title 11, Chapter 6 of the Laverne Municipal Code by adding a new section 11-604 entitled Wearing Masks or Facial Coverings. This is out of a conference. This comes out of a conference that I went to where they were talking predominantly about protests. And so this is kind of future planning in case anything ever gets out of hand where civil unrest occurs at protests and people's faces are completely covered. There's no way to track that. So this would add in there to the prohibition on wearing masks and facial coverings in public unless the mask or facial covering is worn for the purposes of protecting the wearer's health, safety, or for a religious or celebratory purpose. So you still have Halloween is fine, religious health issues, all of that's still fine. But if it's just to wear it at a protest, it would not. So any questions on that?
yeah, so it's got nothing to do with Joe Citizen just walking down the sidewalk in the middle of the day and got a face covering on. There's gotta be a protest involved.
It doesn't, I'm saying that's where it came out of. This would say that masks and facial coverings would be restricted except for those listed in here, which is for health, safety, religious, or celebratory. And I want to say there was a section here where it was talking about talking about with a law enforcement officer may require a person to remove a mask or facial covering during a traffic stop was listed in here. So it goes through it with the whole policy. The version that the conference had was sent over to Evan. He and Bruce worked on getting one that actually works for the way all of our stuff is set up.
So other cities do, this was the one that was confused. Other cities do this?
Some do, yes.
What do you think about this, Conrad?
I have not read up on it. However, I know during protests, they want to wear masks so they cannot be identified. And I believe that, when it gets to a civil unrest, that is one of the reasons that they're wearing a mask, and they use that as a reason to break up the protest.
Just seems like there's a lot of splitting hairs on that as far as police pull somebody over and they're wearing a mask for, and they're not sick. There's nothing wrong with them, but they say, I'm sick. So, and they're not. I don't know.
Evan, what are your thoughts?
Well, my understanding is it's a public safety measure, and maybe that's probably what Conrad touched on, that if it's another tool in the toolbox for our police department to be able to protect the citizens and protect public safety, that's my understanding of the purpose behind the ordinance.
Any other questions? Moving on to number 12, first reading ordinance 2025-13, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2024-2025 general fund budget. And so this is $21,936, and this is the fire system for the library. Any questions? Moving on to 13, Resolution 2025-07, a resolution to approve the land acquisition policy for additional real property interests needed for the South Waldron Road widening project. And just like we did with the Blair West, where we had some additional properties pop up after we passed the first one, we've had that with this as well. And so this is just including them in where we've had the other portions already begun. Does anyone have any questions?
So these residents and addresses that are listed are the only ones that have been acquired?
No.
Very big project with many, many landowners. In order to get it moved quickly, we're having to phase it. And so we're having to phase the right-of-way acquisition as well. So this is not the last one of these is going to come before you. You probably have about 4 more after this, because we have phase 1, batch 1, phase 1, batch 2, then phase 2, then phase 3. So it's just a means and methods of handling a lot of landowners in smaller bunches and get it done quicker and start faster.
So what is this?
This is phase 1, batch 1 are the ones, that's the ones you approved last time. And they are already getting appraisals, and the negotiations are starting with JMT and them. These are the ones, the appraisals are now finished for the next batch. And these are the names we're going to add to it, that they're going to start receiving their appraisals and getting the offers.
All right.
And we're starting from the south and heading north, so the first batch was up through Martins Bend area, and this gets us on around the school.
Any other questions?
I just want to, something that's drawn my attention, and I don't know, maybe it's not illegal, but ethically, we as taxpayers have given the Industrial Development Board millions of dollars, right, to complete this project, and then we're going to give them more for this property? I don't know. It just seems kind of...
Well, that will be, that can be discussed with them. I know right now they've got some land under contract. They've already donated some land for Blair West. That was all just donated back. And there was discussion with the group that has under contract to do the same thing
Sure.
with the right-of-way. And so I would assume if that deal does not wind up going through for whatever reasons, that the IDB would still do the same thing that they've done with Blair West. And Equitable has said that with their development, if it goes through and closes, then they would do it. So So that amount would just be reduced off of here.
So if Equitable buys that property, then instead of this saying IDB, it'll say Equitable.
Well, no, it will, they've already said in the documents that they have that land would be donated. That's part of their submission that they've got. Now, if for whatever reason that deal falls through and everything reverts back to the IDB, then we just have a conversation with the IDB and say, hey, will you donate this? And that would be through Terry Coleman, who's their chair.
And the reason there's a value for it, even though it's being donated, is that the IDB needs to know the value of it so they can track the value of the donation. So it's not really a money transaction,
Gotcha.
it's a paper thing.
Okay.
Now, that makes sense.
Thank you for the clarification. Yep.
Gary's smarter than all of us. Any other questions? Moving on to 14, motion to approve an application for a certificate of compliance for an off-premises consumption retail liquor store, Nemisha LLC, DBA City Slickers at 5410 Murfreesboro Road. And so this is just where the ownership of the store has changed, and there's a new owner, and they need a certificate of compliance in order to obtain a new liquor license from the state.
Is that the same people that own the one up by Regions?
I don't believe it's the same group. I know that there's, I'm trying to think of his name from the application, but Neil Patel. I don't think there's any relation there. But there was a background check conducted on the applicant. Nothing came back. It's going to use the same store hours. They're not moving locations, so their zoning, their distance, all that remains the same.
Gotcha.
Any questions? Okay. Let's see here. We're moving on to appoint or remove board and committee members. This is just an FYI, but we've got two positions on the Beautification and Arts Advisory Committee that are coming up, and it is Daphne Baker, Ashley Bruley, and Bruce will reach out to them, and we will see if they want to remain on the board or not. It will be posted on social media, though, and on Channel 3 for anyone who wants to apply, and then this will not be on the agenda for Tuesday night. Any questions? Well, we're going to move on to everyone's favorite part, the singing competition. Alderwoman Hobbs.
I've got nothing.
Okay. Alderman Coates.
No, I've got nothing neither.
Okay. Alderwoman Haas.
March Madness.
Oof.
Enjoy the basketball games. Sweet 16.
I'm looking forward to Kentucky's hat trick tomorrow night against Tennessee.
Hey, I didn't call on any names of teams.
I'm not as nice as you are. That's it.
Well, I just want to say it was great seeing the boys basketball team here. We're very proud of their accomplishments this past year, and looking forward to a good time on Tuesday night, because we'll be having a meeting on April Fools. So with that, I call the meeting adjourned.